I've been trying to do is I pretty much season the heck out of this stuff and add tons of spices to it so that it's no longer bland. Blandness is the word that's on my mind today, because that's what I would use to describe the way that we in the church have often conducted ourselves. We've made Jesus bland. We've made Jesus boring. We've made Jesus repellent. We ourselves have been coming to Mass for so long, just going through the motions, that it doesn't become internal. We haven't intentionally entered into a relationship as disciples of Jesus, nor have we invited other people to enter into that relationship. We have made the faith so unattractive for the next generation that we have reduced Jesus oftentimes to coloring books and felt banners. We have made Jesus bland. But Jesus was anything but bland. Jesus wasn't boring, and he certainly didn't repel people. People flocked to Jesus because they saw in Jesus somebody who was not just any ordinary human, but someone who could be the solution to their deepest longings, desires, and their problems. This was especially true of Jesus' disciples who followed him day in and day out, watching his public miracles, his teachings, and his cures. And it was most especially true of Jesus' three closest friends that we get to see in today's gospel. Peter, James, and John, his three closest apostles that he takes with him on all of his excursions, and he lets them see something special today. What we call transfiguration. Jesus' form changes. He looks different. His figure is transformed. That's why we call it the transfiguration. So what Jesus is doing is he's giving these apostles a glimpse into what he's going to look like in his future state after he has risen from the dead. But in order to get to the resurrection, in order for Jesus to rise from the dead, what has to happen first? The cross has to happen. In order to get to Easter, you have to go through Good Friday. In order for Jesus to rise from the dead, he needs to die first. And so just before this passage, before they go up the mountain, Jesus is laying out his conditions for discipleship. And he says, the Son of Man, meaning me, has to go be handed over and be killed. Of course, if you were the apostles, you'd be just like them, and you'd say, that's not going to happen. We don't want that to happen. So Peter tries to talk him out of it. Says, that's not for you, Lord. And Jesus doubles down on his words. And he says, if anyone wants to come after me, he needs to deny himself, pick up his cross like I do, come after me. If you want to rise with me, you first have to go to the cross with me. So that's where the challenge comes in. In order to accomplish this, are you and I going to stand on the roadside, watching as Jesus goes by, waving to him, or are we going to get behind him and follow after him? Are you and I just going to keep Jesus at a comfortable distance, or are we going to enter intentionally into a friendship with him? Are you and I going to make Jesus bland? Turn him into a nice guy. Form Jesus into some hippie that doesn't make any demands on you and me. Who doesn't make any expectations that you and I try to lead heroic lives? Or are we going to strive to enter into an encounter with him that totally transforms us from within? That's the challenge. So a challenge leads necessarily to a goal. I'd like you, if you would, please pull out your bulletins and turn to the cover. Today's bulletin cover looks a little different than usual. That's because we've just entered into our parish synod process. Pope Francis called for a universal synod to take place throughout every diocese around the globe. So Bishop McClory has asked every parish in our diocese to consider for the next few months on how it is forming its parishioners to become missionary disciples. What is a missionary disciple? Well, a missionary is someone who goes out to take care of the needs of others. And a disciple is one who is a student, an apprentice. In our case, as Christians, a disciple is one who is a student of Jesus. So a missionary disciple is a disciple of Jesus now who goes on a mission to share Jesus with those who do not know him, to share the love of God with those who have not encountered God. The goal, my goal, is that every member of Holy Family Parish becomes a missionary disciple. To give you an idea, that's 1,400 registered families, which translates to about 3,000 to 4,000 individuals. Only about 1,000 of those come to Mass on any given weekend. And I venture to say that not all of those 1,000 are keenly aware that they are invited into a relationship with Jesus and called to be missionary disciples. What's that mean? It means we have a lot of work to do. But I wouldn't say that it's an unrealistic goal. Because you see, today's Feast of the Transfiguration in the readings is a manifestation of who Jesus is. Shows us who he is. He is the Son of God. He is glorious in himself just as God the Father is. And Jesus is the solution to all of your and my deepest longings, desires, and problems. He's the solution to all of the wars and all of the unhappiness that this world is experiencing right now. When you and I are invited to be his missionary disciples, then, the Transfiguration is not just a manifestation of who Jesus is, it's a manifestation of who we are. When we realize that, then we can become contagious disciples. Then we know that we're on mission. When I know that I'm on mission called by the Lord, then it's no longer myself. I'm no longer living for myself. I'm living for him. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Before I was blind, but now I see. Once I just came to Mass and went through the motions, but now I'm intentional about being a disciple of the Lord Jesus. Now I'm a disciple on mission. So this Lent, let's not settle for blandness. Let's not be bland. We've settled for that for too long. Because the gospel is not bland. The gospel is the spice of the Christian life. It's what gives it its flavor. Let's let our lives be seasoned by the good news of Jesus, and so be transformed